Another day, another Vancouver Canucks game that in which I did not watch. I'm not going to go out there and pretend this is a post-game video where I break down all the plays and analyze things, but I do want to make a commentary just going over some of the things that had presented themselves as conversation topics from tonight's action. I had my own hockey game to attend. As a result, I wasn't able to watch Vancouver and Nashville. It's two straight games where I ended up missing the game entirely, only to watch the highlights upon coming home. But it's been two straight games as well of very entertaining hockey from this Vancouver squad. It was, at first, the 6-2 win over the Philadelphia Flyers, the Pettersson 5-point night. And here today, it's a crazy comeback in the final minutes of the third, making it 4-4, giving the Canucks the loser point as they end up falling in the shootout. But the guy that really steals the show here tonight is none other than Andrei Kuzmenko, a guy whom I'm going to go out there and start saying is really, really legit. There's a reason why the Vancouver Canucks did not go out there and trade this guy away when they had the opportunity to, and sure, you could very well say it was the wrong move to keep him around. But if you wanted to focus on the Vancouver Canucks' long-term core and building with younger talent, sure, you could say that Kuzmenko was 27 years old, so he's already pretty old, but he's in that same age territory as guys drafted in 2015 and 2016-ish. So this is a player that fits right in with a Pettersson, who was drafted in 2017, and a Hughes who was drafted in 2018, albeit just a tad older. Plus the fact that this is a guy that's legitimately so talented that it's really difficult to go out there and justify getting rid of this type of player. Sure, assets, rebuild, draft picks, prospects, freeing up cap, whatever. But there are other ways to get that accomplished. If you're able to trade away guys like Conor Garland, who also had a pretty good night tonight, by the way, Brock Besser, maybe a Tanner Pearson, whom you just put on the LTIR, if you're able to get away from that type of money, then re-signing a guy like Kuzmenko to play with Elias Pettersson isn't the worst deal in the world. You also have Anthony Beauvillier you could trade away as well, that in which we didn't talk about in a separate video by itself just yet. But tonight's action against the Nashville Predators started out pretty poorly for Vancouver. 2-0 was the score around the halfway mark of the second period. It's Cole Smith and Philip Tomasino. Again, I didn't watch the game. I'm just reading the box score right here. But Andrei Kuzmenko gets things on the board for the Vancouver Canucks, starting things out with a breakaway goal. He's set up by Ethan Bear, long pass down the middle, and he finds the top corner. Very nice goal for Kuzmenko. Thank you, my fantasy team says as well. And then you have yourself Sheldon Dries on the power play, who ties things up towards the end of the second period. Brock Besser and Conor Garland get the assists over here. Dries has low-key been so much better than a regular fourth-line AHL caliber player should be. Like, I know he gets power play time, and I know he's pretty good with the Abbotsford Canucks, but like, how in the heck is Sheldon Dries doing all this with the main team on the second power play unit nonetheless? It's quite mind-boggling, to be honest, but good for him, at the very least. You also had yourselves Nino Niederreiter, who brought the Predators up with 10 seconds left in the second period, and then it was Mikael Granlund 7 minutes into the third who opened the scoring there, making it 4-2. Now, at the end of this third period, this is where Vancouver comes alive, as Conor Garland gets a beautiful tip goal in front, shot by Quinn on the outside. It's tipped in by Conor Garland, and then just a few minutes later, with 16 seconds left to go, it's JT Miller and Kuzmenko on that give and go. Kuzi to Miller, back to Kuzmenko in front, and the tip goes right by Juuse Saros. It's a tie game, the Canucks get the loser point, and Andrei Kuzmenko has his 26th goal on the year. This was kind of incredible because we had talked about this in a prior video, but Andrei Kuzmenko's most productive goal season ever is coming in his very first NHL year. He wasn't even this good at producing goals in the KHL. He was getting a lot of assists here and there, but in the NHL, he's really found that goal-scoring touch. It's kind of nuts. The Canucks then lose in the shootout as Kuzmenko, Miller, and Petey all fail to score. Matt Duchene is the only one on Nashville who was able to get a bye. And Colin Delia ends up escaping with the loser point here. He had an 846 save percentage, allowed 4 goals on 26 shots, which isn't great, but then you take a look at Juuse Saros, he had 4 goals against as well on 39 shots, so the Vancouver Canucks actually did have the better of shot totals in this one by quite a significant margin. And you know, I feel like this game and the weekend game of the Philadelphia Flyers is sort of starting to paint the Canucks in a more different light than we had expected them to have this entire Rick Tocchet saga. And I don't know if that's a good thing. Because all of a sudden, they're playing games to the point where they can actually squeak out points, they can actually win in some cases, and even in the games where they're losing, they're making things very interesting. No longer are they blowing those multi-goal leads and looking embarrassing towards the end of the final 40 minutes. Instead, they're battling back hard, they're actually winning battles, they're scoring goals, and they're making things tight. This is ultimately all we could have asked for as Vancouver Canucks fans. Give the fans something to cheer about, even if they go out there and lose, which I guess fans are cheering about because Connor Bedard, he's a pretty good player. Haven't you heard? But in the fashion that they're losing, they're still finding ways to get on the score sheet, boost the numbers. Elias Pettersson had, how many points did Petey have in this game? Let's look at that. 1 assist. So he's at 72 points now in the NHL. He is still one of the top players in the league in points. Conor Garland had 2 points, a goal and an assist. Kuzmenko had 2 goals. Miller with an assist. Besser with an assist. A lot of spread out scoring here. And of course, Quinn Hughes with the 2 assist marker he had. So at the very end of the day, if you've got the Canucks on your fantasy teams, a lot of these guys are doing pretty well, all things considered, and the team itself, even though they've got this goaltending tandem of Delia and Artur Silovs, which isn't really supposed to be amazing, they're still finding ways to make the games fun, they're finding ways to get points, and I personally don't know how I feel about that, because if they really start building on this momentum they've accrued, then I don't know how far down the Canucks finish in the NHL standings by the time that draft lottery gets up and started, you know? Like, I'm sort of fearing that at the worst case scenario, the Canucks end up getting, like, 11th or 10th or 12th overall. Let's say they get 12th and 14th because they've got the Islanders pick 2. And let's say the Islanders barely miss out on the playoffs because they've been winning games even without Matthew Barzal. It's kind of funny how that works. But the Canucks coming alive in this part of the season with Rick Tocchet, even without Luke Schenn, they're still able to go out there and squeeze out points against a team like Nashville, that in which they were able to come back and tie the game with 2 minutes remaining after being down by 2 in the first place. So, at the end of the day, it's good to see the Canucks getting points in terms of their individual statistics. It's probably not the best thing to see the team as a whole getting points, but, I mean, it makes for some entertaining content on Tuesday night. So you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Canucks and their game against Nashville. They lost 5-4 in a shootout. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.